Welcome to worship on Wednesday for September 29th. I thought this week, for my turn, I would talk about something that the youth are doing for our Sunday night lessons. So during the month of October, we are reading the book of James, or covering the book of James, and the youth are supposed to be reading at home. They're reading the chapter that corresponds with the week. So there's 5 Sundays in October, 5 chapters in James. So we're just going to cover a chapter a week. I'd love it if the congregation were to read along with us. So just in addition to your normal devotions, add in a chapter of James, one a week until October. There's also we're also going to be memorizing scripture from the book of James, one verse, or a couple weeks it's 2 verses, but from each chapter. You can find what verses we're memorizing and memorize along with us if you go to our webpage, fumc-highpoint.org/James. So it's our webpage /James, fumc-highpoint.org/James. You can see what verses we're memorizing. James is probably the earliest written. There's some consensus on that it's probably the earliest written of the New Testament books. This is probably, most people agree that it's James, the half-brother of Jesus. The half-brother because Joseph was not Jesus' father, right? But this morning, the verse that I wanted to cover is James 1:27. Religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is this: to visit orphans and widows in their affliction. And this is the end of the verse is what I want to focus on. And to keep oneself unstained from the world. Now the ESV, which is what I study for most of the time, says unstained, but the NKJV says unspotted. So metaphorically, free from vice, unsullied. Above reproach would be a metaphorical word or phrase there for unspotted. But when I read it, the version I read says unstained, and that just makes me think of a friend that I have, Eddie. Eddie is from Alabama. Great guy. He was actually one of our youth when we were down there. He's married and has kids now, but something about Eddie was every time he had a meal, he ended up with something on his shirt. Eddie's favorite condiment was mustard. Oftentimes it was mustard from a sandwich or a hot dog on Eddie's shirt. And when I see that unstained word there, that I just think of Eddie, unstained. He often had stained shirts because when he was just kind of a messy eater, and so that would just fall down, and you could always say, "Oh, Eddie, you had a sandwich with mustard for lunch, didn't you?" Or did you have spaghetti for supper tonight? You could tell kind of what he had for supper or whatever meal was last based on the color mark on his shirt. And so that's just kind of what I think about when I hear the word unstained. But James here is talking about being unstained with that worldly on our shirt. We're called to be set apart, to be above reproach. We're called to be different and not to be worldly. And so we don't want that worldly stain on our shirt. We want to be unsullied with the word. With the world. That's a good word for it. So be careful when you're eating that you don't get worldly mustard or whatever it is on your clothes, and avoid those things. Not just this week, but all the time. Don't forget, the youth are reading James, fumc-highpoint.org/James to see the verses that we're memorizing and be on the same page with the youth group this month. Thanks, guys.